Hello.
You know, statistically, you are more likely to use your concealed handgun than any of your Minuteman gear, your truck gun gear, stuff like that. So you need to be out here and practicing. Now, this portion is the first. This video is the first part in a series of probably about three, a trilogy of defensive tactics with handguns. This is just solely close quarters. Take everything that you hear with a grain of salt, because like I said throughout this video, nothing can work 10 times out of 10, but something can work 9 times out of 10, so you need to treat it as it works 10 times out of 10. And essentially what that means is learn, soak it up, the knowledge I teach you here, and then adapt that to better fit your body. Whether you're a 5'2" female or a 7-foot caveman, it doesn't matter. What's happening, guys? Operation Pour here. Bienvenue à la montagne. That's French for welcome to the mountain. We're out here today with my lovely assistant. It's probably hard to see. This is a ghillie dummy I use for sniper operation training. But I have him out here hanging up to kind of show you some defensive handgun techniques. Now, disclaimer right here. I do not know what state you're from. I don't know what country you're from. I don't know the context of your situation. I am not a lawyer. I'm not legally responsible for anything you do. So if you use these techniques and then you go to jail and then you're like trying to plead defense, well, this YouTuber said that this was the best way to gut a man, like, dog, no, this is for education. I'm not legally responsible for what you do. I can't say that I can't say that enough, really. The techniques I'm going to show you here, they're dirty, they're nasty, but you won't get killed. So whether you're in Iraq, Afghanistan, you're in a war, you're in Chicago, it don't matter. You're probably going to survive using this. This is going to be the first part. It's probably going to be a 3-part series. So like, this is just arm's length or a little over arm's length. This is like somebody's trying to wrap around you, hug you, tackle you. They got a knife and they're swinging at your face. We'll hit on that. Stuff like that. A lot of instructors will sit here and just go way too schizo and deep into it. What I mean by that is it's kind of like martial arts in a essence. You know, you have your sparring and then you also have your kata in traditional martial arts, like karate. I did karate for a while and I loved it, and I love that traditional and the traditional values and everything and the movements. But a lot of people's like, oh, that's a bunch of bull. And in a sense it is. It develops discipline. It develops a lot of other unique and very good skill sets. However, you can't sit here and do I think it's called a kimodashi stance like this. This is, I'm not doing it right, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be sitting here in some crazy stance and expect it to work every single time. Warfare, gunfighting, fighting in general, knife fighting, all that is very fluid in nature, and nothing works 10 out of 10, but you need to find something that works a 9 out of 10, because 9 out of 10 is 10 out of 10. I know, it sounds crazy, but that's how it is. Can't do, especially, let's say the opposition has a weapon, then it changes things if it's not just hand to hand, or they just got a rock or something. Like I said, this ain't legal advice, it's just education. So let's kind of get into it. It's hot today. I already know. Why are you wearing like a do-rag? Listen, it is, the index is like 103 today, and even in the shade, I'm like, this do-rag, this wet rag on my head is the only thing keeping me from having a heat stroke. I ain't even playing. So essentially, this guy's being hostile with me. Okay, let's pretend for a second. He's out, he's flailing his arms, he's trying to get close, and he's just, I know I can't take him, right? It's just, he's threatening to kill me, whatever. You know, this ain't legal advice. But he's coming at me, and I know I can't take him. I'm just going to shoot him, to be honest with you. I'm not, you know, like if I'm back, especially if I'm backed up into a corner, you know, we're talking about a situation where you can't escape. Let's say that your leg is hurt, it's caught in a bear trap, I don't know, but you can't escape. You're on a subway, whatever, and this dude is just coming up at you. So this is what I'm going to do. Now I like to carry on my hip back here, if you couldn't tell with it sticking out of my my shirt. I like to carry back here just for this technique. However, you know, a lot of people appendix carry. An appendix carry makes this a little bit harder, what I'm about to show you. So anyways, he's coming at me and I don't like him. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's multiple ways to do this. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to, you know, keep my distance about an arm's length away. Right, so I'm going to push out. But more importantly, I'm going to try to use a diversion. Right. So when I throw out with my non-firing hand, I could do a push. I could, you know, try to palm strike him or something in the nose. But I could just smack the shit out of him if I really wanted to. Or I could punch him. But really what I'm trying to do is just kind of fake him out. So I'm going for his head. As I go for his head, I'm going to reach, grab, put it right in his fucking stomach, and pull the trigger. I'm going to pull the trigger 4 or 5 times. I'm going to make his insides jelly. And trust me, after 4 or 5 shots of even, you know, 380, something as little as 380, or, you know, more commonly 9mm, especially something like 45 ACP, he's not going to be coming at you. You put right here in the center of his navel and pull, you decimated his spine. You decimated his spine the first shot. The rest is just assurance, right? So he's going to fall like a sack of bricks because he can't move his legs. You know, I said, look, warfare is dirty and nasty, right? This shit is dirty and nasty, okay? You need to know, this is why I got to hit on again, you need to know the legal ramifications of what we're talking about here. I'm not telling you to do this in a sense. This is just education and, like, you know, without rule of law, foreign invasion, you've been captured, they don't know you have a concealed carry or something like that. Something crazy, like, you know, in a perfect world, you never have to do this. So, yeah, essentially, you want to throw a diversion, whether it be, you know, if I was firing this side, throw a diversion and then just pull it right in the stomach and or groin. Now, like I said, I know that's dirty and nasty, but that's how we do it here on this channel. The reason I say appendix is harder, I'm going to move this and just kind of show you. So a lot of people, they'll try to push back and they'll step back and then they'll draw. They always lift their shirt up with a non-firing hand to draw and then get on target. And that's good if you can create that distance, but let's say, like I said, you're up against a wall or there's a crowd of people behind you or something, you're not really going to have, I know I said throw for a diversion, but it's mainly for a diversion. They think you're going to punch them and then you just end up eating their damn guts out. You know, it's a little bit different. So if I'm trying to create distance, this is fine if I have the distance, and I could even shoot here, not fully extended. I mean, we're so close I can just point and shoot, but I prefer, that's why I prefer on my hip. Hopefully I'm making sense right now. Like I said, it's hot, my brain's frying right now. But anyway, so we pull out. You could do it like this if you've seen the ads for the Houdini holsters, like that. But really be careful, especially when you're training, because your hand isn't forward of the muzzle, and that's never good, especially when you start popping some rounds. It's going to recoil up, and there's a good chance in all the commotion, get right here, this gun is cleared, by the way, no mag, this gun is cleared. Look at that, I just shot my thumb off, or right under my thumb, you know, and all that commotion, because I'm like, you know, I don't like doing that personally. And you know, you could do this with appendix, there's definitely, you know, the slimmer profile, whatever, but personally, I just do not like carrying appendix. When I sit down, this Glock 19, it just digs into my pelvis. I don't like it. So, you know, kind of continuing on. So what I'm doing and why I have it on my hip as well is, when I throw my diversion, my weapon is away from the threat. My weapon is away from the aggressor. He's more focused, naturally human instinct, on what I'm doing with my hand up here, which will give me a little bit more time to do it this way. And I can even step back. I mean, you could do this number, you could just shoot him right here, or like I kind of showed you before, throw it, diversion, pull, bang bang. I mean, you know, you don't necessarily have to have it pressed up in the chest, and this is also something I want to hit on. On slide fire handguns, or at the very least striker fired handguns, if you hold it just a little bit out of battery, it's not going to fire. Fire. That's just like 2 or 3 millimeters out of battery. It's not going to fire. So when you get up in the material or up in the stomach, if it pushes like that, then it's just not going to work. It's not going to fire, and then he knows you have a weapon. It might give him time to get down there and grab it. It might give him time to shift over. You never know. That's the thing about fighting and stuff like that. You never know what another human is capable of, or what they're going to do. It's a scary thing. So when you reach for your handgun, you need to be sure of what you're doing. Another thing is, if you start to reach and you've already decided in your mind you're going to use deadly force, do not freeze up. You're a big boy. You made big boy choices reaching for it. End it right there. Because if you reach for it and you freeze up, like I said, that gives him time to assess the situation. If he's had any kind of training or anything, or even watch my videos or others' videos on these topics, he's going to know exactly what you're doing. And then he could easily counter you with his own firearm. He could create distance, especially if he has you backed up against the wall. He could create distance and then just magnum you while you're sitting there a little bit frozen up. So you want to train this, you want to become second nature in it. Now what would negate that right there? What would negate that is, I don't carry this one, however it has a threaded barrel, and sometimes I run a linear compensator which sticks in, this is cleared, which sticks out a little bit more, or a actual like block compensator. And when you have a compensated firearm, or even one with a threaded barrel, when you jab it into something, you have a little bit more leeway, so to speak, in what you can do in the fabric and stuff that you can put it up against. It still has that drawback. Obviously, it's a striker fired slide handgun. It's a slide on a striker fired handgun, but with this added threaded barrel right here, typically you can put it right up here and just press away. Compensators are better. Linear compensators are key on that because they stick out so far. Now, it's just something to keep in mind. Most people don't carry a compensated pistol though for concealed carry, but this is all handgun defense. This is just something to think about. If you have a block compensator or a linear compensator on here, you can stick it up to something all day. Sorry, this one has issues sometimes. You can stick it up on someone all day and just blast it. Alright, so I zoomed in the camera a little bit. We're about to do some like drills. Now, like I said, man, this is probably going to make you nervous, okay? It is normal for it to make you nervous. Just don't be stupid. Don't let it get the best of you. Especially if you do decide to do apex, and it's more likely you're going to hit your hand. Now, I'm a taller individual. If you were like 5 foot something, you'd probably have to go up. And if you went up at an angle, it's definitely okay just to pull that thing out and do some work. But just be careful of that. I guess, you know, either side or apex, I just feel like, I keep saying apex, my apologies, the appendix, either the appendix or the hip, either one holds that threat, but I feel like it's just so much easier. It's more natural to lean back like that, and I feel like it's just so much easier to hit them if you're, you know, at a squared off stance with them from the appendix. So he's coming at me. He's swinging, he's mad. I see he has a rock. I'll be all like, get back. Just like that, right? I kept my distance about 3 inches. I, you know, face palmed his hand just like that, and I shot him lower abdomen, stomach. Now, another good spot to shoot him, and something that we can do here that is really good, not for him but for us, is the groin. So each leg, they are what we call garden hoses. They're called garden hoses because they are major arteries, and if you shoot one of those arteries, it's pretty much over unless you get a tourniquet on it almost immediately. So using that information, where do your legs lead? Your girdle, your groin, that's right. So if we use this concept, you know, and we're all like, get back just like that, pull up, and shoot in the groin. There's a likelihood we hit not just one, but two major arteries there. Also, if we pop another, 4 or 5 shots, let's say we get 5 shots in there, it's going to be such a jelloed mess, they're not going to be able to stand. And like I said, this is disgusting to talk about. It's kind of making me queasy. But in real talk, if it's your life or theirs, think about it. So anyways, he's coming up on me. Let's say he has a knife. Okay. A big knife. Here's the thing, and I've learned this from Jordan Jareed. He's another kind of like survival YouTuber. He went to prison. He's a felon. He can't own firearms, so he teaches like other stuff a lot of the times. And he was talking about in prison, they would put socks and like pillowcases and wrap around their forearms, because it protected you. That was the best way to protect yourself. People that didn't have their arms up and wasn't using their arms as like blockers, was getting ate up and like killed, because people just didn't want cut in general. They didn't think about the long-term effects of what they were doing. So if they have a knife at you, you could try some like karate, like that, a little. I'm making fun of it. I really used to do that though. I used to be obsessed with martial arts and stuff. It's been years though. If you do this in like just a basic block, right? You could do that theoretically, but that's if they're swinging wide. And most of the time, if they have a knife, whether it's this way or this way, which this is how you typically knife fight, this way. Either way they do it, they're going to be more direct. They're going to be really looking for a stab. Hardly anyone tries to slash. This ain't Call of Duty. Do not Call of Duty shit, right? Hardly anyone sit here, is like this and just cuts, unless you got a big ass sword or something. Most people just try to stab the shit out of you, right? So, in that case, the best advice that I can give you is try to get it stout, get your forearm stout, whichever one is your non-firing hand, and you're just, you're going to have to take a couple cuts. But if they, come at you and try to stab you, it's essentially the same thing, but you're going to pull up. You're going to pull them up. You see that? Just like that. That's good shit. You like that? And what you're going to do, you're going to cut your arm a little bit. I just dumped 3 right there, right in his heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to do this again. So he's coming up, right? Just like that. And he's no more. He's close. Some key features, I'm going to hit on this again. Some key features and stuff that we need to keep in mind. This is the reason I carry it on my hip, because if somebody has a knife or something that's coming at me, I fully intend to do what I just showed you to do to them. I mean, it's whatever, don't come at me with a knife. In today's modern society, I don't see why a grown man has to resort to knife fighting or even fist fighting in general. If you're that worked up about something, you probably need to go to therapy. I'm just saying. But a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people think we're barbarians or something. But, we're talking life or death here. Once you decide to reach for your handgun, like I said earlier, one, don't hesitate, but also, in the little bit, I'm not giving legal advice, but in the eyes of the law, you had intent to use deadly force. So, if he has a knife and you have cuts on your arm, that might look a bit better too. If he had a big ass boulder or a rock in his hand, I mean, I'd say it's justified, but I mean, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. This ain't legal advice. So, big thing is, this is really stressful training. You're sitting here with your arm in front of your muzzle. So just really, go slow at first. You see me out here, I'm not even going as fast as I can, because this ain't a real situation. Obviously, my hand was way up here. I'm mimicking, he's trying to stab me with a knife, and I smack him. Now, what you could do from there, if he's coming at me with a knife, let's say that, oh gosh, this is real hard to do without a real person. Glad it's not a real person though, right? So, if they're coming at me and I'm able to kind of hook the knife, So they're coming at me and I'm like that, right behind their hand, or even deeper in. Let's say, I mean, the knife would stop right here then. If I can press it up, like them against the wall, let's say we're in a corridor or something, then that allows me to put it right in and do some work right here. His knife, his elbow, everything is pinned. I have the advantage, especially if I'm using my legs. They do teach you in karate and stuff like that, use your legs as a foundation for a punch. Everything generates from the ground and through your legs. That is 100% true. So if you really, he's coming at me and he's swinging a knife, right, let's say his right arm, kind of pin it like that and just put in some work like that. It's not bad. You know, that'll definitely get the job done. Now see, even then, did you see that, how I did that? I even had the muzzle down. I still felt some burn right here. And like I said, this stuff is dangerous. You really need to be careful with this. But this is just dirty and nasty and how you can save your life. I'm just saying, this is just dirty and nasty. You pull up, pow. You've seen that demonstration. Now I shoot more downward. It doesn't matter. And you don't want to just shoot them once. That's a big misconception. You want to put a couple in him just so you understand it, like just so you are secure, just so you know for a fact that he's not getting back up. That's pretty much all I got for you. I mean, it's as simple as trying to keep the weapon from him before he realizes you have a weapon. I do that by utilizing it on my hip. I would prefer my hip. It's more comfortable to me than appendix. I know I said apex earlier. I'm sorry. It's hot as balls out here. But I like it on my hip. Now, appendix, if you're dead set on that, like the operator you are, there is some things that you could do. So, you know, if you're squared off, it's the same thing, like that, you know, diversion, shoot, shoot, shoot. But you could also get a little bit more distance if you had it going at a bladed area, and then shoot them right. I mean, just shoot them right in the dick, like that, right in the groin. Just be careful of your arm. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. I mean, hopefully you enjoyed actually out here, like on a real dummy. I know it's gillied up for the vegetation and whatnot. I understand that, but you know, hopefully you could see that. So anyways, I'm probably going to dick around with this. I brought a lot more ammo than what I shot, so I'm probably just going to practice this. And like I said, I can't stress enough, you know, be careful. You definitely want to dry fire this a couple times. You want to be somewhat seasoned when doing this. I wouldn't give someone a handgun for the first time and be like, yeah man, put your arm up against the target and then just start blasting into its chest. This is really dangerous, alright? Like, I'm not responsible for your injuries either. I'm just telling you, this is how you do it in the real world. You'd be dirty and you'd be nasty, but you'd live, okay? So, hopefully that makes sense. Let me know what else I should do. I got a lot of different series. I'm really bad at starting series and not finishing it. The state loadout series of Florida 1, that pole. It should be coming out soon. It's going to be my next big project. I got a big land nav project going on. I got a bunch of stuff going on. The Appalachian sniper system has not went anywhere. That is still in development, but I'm kind of making a version 2 of it. So, but for me and my friend here, he definitely took 1 or 2 for the team at least. Donate to the Patreon. That's what lets me make these dummies and make these videos. I don't get paid from YouTube. I have not received a dime directly from YouTube. It's been from viewers sending me money to allow me to do this. I come from a very poor region, and like the lowest tier on Patreon is like $2. And believe it or not, that really helps. You know, if I could just get a couple patrons, like 10 patrons, and give me $20, I mean that covers the ammo I just used. I really appreciate it, guys. God bless you. You know, got to do that French. Au revoir. A bientôt. See you guys next time on the mountain. God bless y'all. Stay safe.